Welcome back to BC Procast, episode 62.
62.
We are here.
We're here.
We are here.
You were there.
You were there. You're there.
We're here.
We're here.
And together.
We're a bear.
Yo, what?
What do you mean?
No, you growled. I don't know if you heard that. Oh, no, you didn't. Okay.
So today, I was thinking about we could talk about like the power of the mind in psychology, and then maybe get into like a little controversy.
Hey.
This is the hook.
Okay. All right.
People that are gonna bring in some controversy.
Like controversial like topics or
I don't know. We're basically going to be. I'm going to be throwing potentially some punches at some large corporations.
Oh, I see what you're. Okay. Go ahead. Don't start off with those.
Call me Luigi. I'm joking.
Like you're talking about like Nintendo.
Yeah, like Mario and Luigi, not the guy who looks like. I kind of hope they make a documentary. Anyway,
that's what people are saying, dude. That people love this guy. Like he's like
I have thoughts on this.
Do you really?
Yeah, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't know it was a thing at first. So I was like Derek was like, "Hey, did you hear about what happened?" I was like, "What?" And there's like that dude, the good-looking guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Everyone is raving about him." I was like, "Well, he's probably good looking." Then he goes, "No, he killed someone." And then he's like, "You haven't heard about this?" Oh my gosh, he got like really.
Jill is really letting you down.
She is.
The fires.
Yeah, dude, that was actually honestly that was crazy.
Yeah, you need to tell Jill.
Logan Paul's engagement. I was like, okay, that's okay. I guess it's like
how LA is burning.
Yeah. What? Any update on that, by the way? We don't want to date our things. I know it. We don't have to date our things.
Yeah, not any of that. But know that right there. So this guy takes the life of this top CEO guy for like health insurance, and I think it's drawn back to he was applying for the health insurance, but the guy didn't like. He was one of the people that got rejected because their policy of like turning away people or paying out the people was like a low percentage. So he might not be the best guy, but he's a person with like a family. So, but this guy, he took the man's life because of that, and with that, like he was put on trial. A lot of things happened with him going to New York, but he's a good-looking guy, and so now people are like, I think you were telling me this that I think Chris Rock had a joke or like a comedian had a joke, which I'm like, yeah, like Luigi, he killed a CEO who has like a family. Was this you?
I don't remember.
It's like a family and like these people like that love and like care for him, like and employees. I mean, Luigi's a good-looking guy. Are we sure it was him? Like, is he okay? Wasn't that you who told me that?
I don't know. It might have been.
He's a good-looking guy. I mean, it sounds like, even if he did, like, he's good-looking, and like the whole joke behind that. But it ties back to like, with like Ted Bundy, and who's the other guy that was in Milwaukee? Dahmer.
Jeffrey, yeah.
Well, I don't know if he was a good-looking guy, but Ted Bundy was like known to be like a good-looking guy, and these like good-looking, suave guys. It's like it almost creates like, do you know, like this is a thing that I've realized over time. Like girls tend to have like they love like murders, and like
I don't understand.
Yeah, they like watching like documentary series and like these bad things, and I don't know. I bet that's a psychological.
It might be
thing, but he's like kind of getting like this hype because one, the guy that like passed away that was his life taken from him, he's in the healthcare system.
Yeah.
And there's potential of like, I don't know him at all, but like there's potential like maybe corruption or just not being the best for people. So you could kind of look at the story like he was taking matters in his own hands, justice. But also it could I forgot where I was going with that. But so there's that aspect, but also it's like he's a young, good looking guy. Like
Yeah.
he graduated from like Ivy College, and like he his parents and his grandparents are like filthy rich, all these things, and like had a great life ahead of himself. So like it's like captivating. But with this guy, Luigi, he's like been put on like display, public display for this. And like
Yeah.
they even said the court case, his lawyer, his defendant, he was even saying like the lawyer's defendant would be Luigi. The lawyer, he was saying how we need to do like a retrial or something like that, or we need to change something because all the public attention, you can't promise that you're gonna have jurors that are gonna come in that are gonna be unbiased.
Right.
Yeah, so they're like calling like a I don't know, like a no contest. I don't know. That was a random like word
Wait,
from
so
another thing.
you're because the public loves him?
No, because the trial's so public. For example, like he like was flown in a helicopter to New York because like there was a happening. I think it was in New York, but then he lives in like Jersey or something like that. Anyway, that's a lot of this stuff I'm not completely sure on, but I know this. So they landed him and they flew him in a helicopter, landed, and then there was like a squad of like 30 plus NYPD officers, like just surrounding him. And then he's wearing his orange jumpsuit and his jump um, suit in his cuffs. And he's walking, he's surrounded. First of all, picture, I'm not gonna lie, it looks awesome. It looks straight out of like, like Joker and Bat. Like it looked like you could put Joker there because you have like all the NYPD surrounding him.
Yeah.
Like it's a sick picture. Like he's obviously a bad guy, and like, but like, say if like this was like he got framed and like he was
Mm,
proven innocent, like in a like a totally different world. Like
yeah.
there's so much I've saying it's him. Um, that'd be like a hard pick to put like your Instagram profile picture. Like it's pretty sick. Like the helicopter in the back, 30 people, NYPD surrounding him, walking him. But they're saying because there's so many photos and videos of him like um with his being detained, with these him being like almost like paraded
Yeah.
about through the city, saying that like he is this bad guy. They're saying like there's no way the jurors haven't seen any of this
Mm,
stuff and can't come into this bias because you
right.
want to have a fair trial. So you
Right.
want people to come in. You want to hear the facts that is presented in court,
Yeah.
and the facts that are presented that's allowed by the judge, and the lawyers and the defendants bring up. That's what you take. Then you go back and talk to the jurors, all the jurors, and then you decide, make a decision if he's guilty or not.
Mm,
But if they're seeing all this stuff beforehand, they're like, "Oh, that guy's guilty,"
yeah.
or which that's what the his lawyer was saying. Yeah, everyone's gonna think this. Or on the other side, what you see is happening is like a lot of people, like, oh, he's a good-looking guy. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way he's young. He's good-looking. Like, there's like kind of that psychotic side.
Yeah. I I I remember Derek was saying how much like he's beloved because it's like a good-looking guy fighting for a cause.
Yeah,
And so it's like people are he's Derek actually what's funny that you said that is cuz Derek actually says he wants to see a documentary as well. Like wants to like see that and focus on that.
yeah. The way they have it set up, it would be perfect for like a documentary
Yeah.
of like where did this kid come from? And why did you do this? And then the whole New York set and everything.
Yeah.
But it tying into him like being kind of a little psychotic, or the psychology of girls maybe being drawn to like the murder mystery files and stuff like that. I was thinking maybe today we could talk about psychology.
Mm.
Have you heard of Tony Robbins?
Um did he no. What did he play in a movie?
I think he did a little bit of acting, but he's known for being. Say some people say confidently that he's like the greatest like speaker,
Greatest
like
speaker.
motivational, like traveling speaker. Like, do you know how
What?
like
I did not
there's
know that.
um like the whole scene of being a motivational speaker and like having a book and traveling and speaking and doing
Yeah.
conferences and companies hiring you out, or you putting on like large speaking engagement like concert things where people come and they listen to a panel of people and listen
Is
to
he Asian?
no
Okay.
So like a lot of that stuff, like maybe Simon Sinek,
The,
Power of Why.
some of these people sound familiar, and I know only a few motivational speakers.
Yeah. So there's
Probably if I
like
saw his
there's like a
face.
scene with it. I don't even know if Simon still like to speak and stuff, but there's like a lot of people that go around and speak. But excuse me, sorry. Tony Robbins, he's like the greatest, and he's like revolutionized the space. He's been like doing this for like I think he said like 45, 48 years or something, or
How old
maybe
is he?
I think he's in his 60s.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, he started like late early 20s, or whatever the math is. Um, so he's been doing it since very very young. Actually, I think he said he started at 17. That he kind of got into this field, but
What?
like he's like he has written some books, and he's like revolutionized like just the power of like thought in your mind.
Yeah.
And he's brought people, like he says, how do people go through, and this is kind of like some of the controversy stuff and shots at people. He's like, how can you be in therapy for something and still be in therapy 6 years later dealing with the same thing? And so he was telling the story. I was listening to him on the podcast, and he was telling the story how he went on a radio show, and back then, um, like that was like the big thing of communicating things. And he was talking. He was like, "Yeah, like I work with people, and what I do, and how like I kind of lead them and everything. Like I help them. I help them, and like and they can help themselves. Like give me like 10, 15 minutes, like something they're dealing with the past 6 years, like they'll be cured of it. Like they'll be good."
Mm.
And
Mm.
so, but he has like no degree. He has
Oh.
no like degree. He's not been to school for this. All he did was just read, study, and like do all his own research and like talk to people and learn. Yeah.
Wow.
So he's like very like self-made.
Yeah.
And so they're like, no way. He's like, yeah, like I've had a bunch of people that like I've worked with and things like that. And someone like they brought someone on the show, and they go, hey, and they're like, oh, who's this other person on the show? And Tony's like, who's this other person? And they're like, hey, I'm actual like clinical psychologist. I have therapy people. And it was like the things that you're doing is a humbug. Like you're just making things up. Like this, you have no proof, you have no evidence, like all this stuff. And he goes, and he was like, I'm getting like reamed out. Is that the term? I'm getting reamed out on live radio, which at that time, a lot of people hear. And he's like, and a lot of people reamed out. And he's like, you know, what? And he's like, and so he's like, I was a little bit more aggressive back then. He goes, do you know what? Do you know what? He's like, I'm hosting a free seminar later this week. He goes, who's someone you're working with that you're having difficulty with? He goes, like who's still in therapy? And then he goes, oh, well, I have this lady that's like deathly scared of snakes. He goes, oh, okay, all right. And like, how long have you been working with her? And he's like, 6 years. And he goes, and she's still scared of snakes. Anyways, why don't you? And he's like, that was my little clap back at him. And he's like, why don't you bring your person and bring them in and at the seminar? And at the seminar, he's like, I'll completely take away her fear of snakes. And he's like, and then he shared with the podcast he was on. He's like, by the way, I've never done anything like that. Like he's like, I was trying to. He's like, I know my methods and I know how they work and I know what psychology is and I know how people work. He's like, so I'm hoping for the best, but he's like, I never done anything like that. And so the guy's like, do it, fine, fine. And then the other host of the radio show cut him off. He's like, great, well, cool. I guess where's that at? And he's like, told them. And he's like, all right, anyone who wants to listen, you'll see it. He's like, yeah, please stop by. Please come see it. You'll
Wow.
see how therapy should be and how it works. And he's like, perfect. So then he said he went to a show, and at this time, he's like getting anywhere from like 15 to like 40 people or 50 people or maybe 100 people. He said that night 400 people showed up at his free seminar. And he was like there's no place to even sit. And so he's like, wow, this is crazy. So he's introducing everything, and then he was looking around for like the person. And he's like, I'm expecting like this guy coming in with like this crazy like bat lady in there,
Yeah.
like all that stuff. He's like, oh, nothing happened. So he was like talking, and he's trying to sing, and out of nowhere, he's like 5 minutes into his intro to his seminar. You hear, hey, and the guy walks up and he's talking. He goes, oh, excuse me, everyone. I think we have a visitor. And looks down. He's like, I'm here. We're here. And it was just like a lady. And so he brought the lady up, And he didn't with the podcast, he didn't explain like exactly what he did, but he started off saying he's like, "Hey, so I heard you've been working for the last 6 years with your therapist because you're scared of snakes," and he screamed snakes at her, and she started um like like shaking and like drooling uncontrollably. Like so it wasn't just like she was scared of him. She had like this effect that would take over her that just like put her in like a frantic like state of this like fear, I
Oh
guess.
wow.
So it was a visible thing. And so he said the next 15 to 20 minutes I worked with her. We talked about things, different things like that. And he's like, at the end of 20 minutes, at the end of 20 minutes, he goes, "Yeah, I mean, so what do you think? For a long time we've talked about snakes," and he yells snakes, and she goes, and he goes, and there's no visceral reaction. And there's 400 people there.
Wow.
And he goes, "All right, so it seems like we're getting better." He's like, "So I have some." And he grabs a brown bag and lifts it up, and you see movement in the bag. And everyone's like, "There's a snake in there, there's a snake in there." And she's like kind of looking, and he goes, "You probably know what this is." Opens up the bag and takes out just a garden snake. It wasn't anything, and picks up the snake. She goes, and it's like what any normal person would react. He goes, at the start of it, just yelling out snakes, she was like turned to shaking and drooling and all that
Yeah.
stuff. At the end of it, he got her a point where like a normal reaction, you see a snake, and he goes, "All right, would you like to hold it?" And for 400 people, she goes, "I mean," he's like, "Why not? Hold it." And she reached out, grabbed it, and she started screaming. He's like, "All right, don't kill it." But then she held it, and afterwards, he's like, after that, he's like, everyone like saw that like there's power in like the way you think and perspective and
Wow.
psychology. And he goes, after that, he's like, he'd host a bunch of free seminars every like once a month or something. He's like, we'd get all these people, and we just have bring people up. And he said like he like there's some other crazy things that he did. I don't like one was yeah, I won't share it. You have to remind me later if you're very curious. It's not the most appropriate thing.
Okay.
But like he did like another I'm trying to think of a one that's more appropriate.
Like appropriate as in like spiritual kind of stuff
No,
or
no, no. It is like a
like more of like dirty kind of stuff?
it's not well, I'll just tell you
Okay.
later.
Sorry.
It's not bad, but
Yeah.
like younger people don't need to hear it.
Oh, I
It's
see
like
what you're saying.
adult things.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay.
So so anyway, he was on the podcast, he was explaining this, and he's talked about like he's worked with like Kardashians, he's worked with Tom Brady, he's worked with all these people, he's brought all these books, and like he even has these quotes of different things like that. But his whole thing is just like he studied and learned everything about like human and psychologies, like the psychology of human, all that stuff, and like the power of your mind and perspective. And he has a quote. He said, well, he has this thing. He goes, "There's three things that people need to know that'll help you master any skill and bring great success." And he goes, "These are three things." He goes, um, pattern recognition. Everything has a pattern.
Mm,
Everything has a pattern. People have patterns. Think about your daily life. It's a pattern. Your
yeah.
morning routine is a pattern. And he's like, also, like business is a pattern. And finding patterns in the world, pattern recognition is the first step to make you successful. Second one is the use of those patterns. So once you recognize patterns, you use it to benefit yourself and to create success and to
Yeah.
do things that like turn into something and innovate something better.
Wow.
And he said the third one is creating patterns. So once you're at a spot where you're creating a pattern that society or the community or the people that you're targeting or anything start to adapt and
Yeah.
use, then he's like, you're crazy. Like you're just
Wow.
like gonna succeed so greatly.
So what are the three again?
Is pattern recognition
So finding what you're
to
doing.
realize what the pattern is in any market. Second one is the use of that pattern. So I
Mm-hmm.
realize that if you go boom, boom, boom equals this, all right, now let me use that and maybe adapt it a little bit. And the
Yeah.
third one is creating a pattern. So the
Mm.
creation of a new pattern that means you're just like in uncharted territory at the first to
Yeah.
create a system or whatever. And so he just talks about like the psychology and like just being very well knowledgeable. Another quote that he had that I really liked is that losers react, leaders anticipate, and anticipation is power.
Wow.
So if you're in a leader position, you want to anticipate things. you're like a loser, and he's not trying to be like derogatory when he's saying loser, like you
Yeah.
have nothing. He's like those people that just react, like you're not going to do great things. And then there's one more quote, if you don't mind me
Yeah,
sharing.
no, no.
Um, he said, um, and he's talking about sales because he first started about sales, and he was first in
He
sales.
was a salesman?
Yeah,
Okay.
for a bit. He says a sale is always made. Either I persuade you what's possible, or you persuade me what's not.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the last one is if you want to influence people, understand what influences them. So he does a lot of leadership stuff. He does a lot of like mental therapy, like the whole thing. He's like, and going back to the shots, he goes, you go to these places for like ADHD, depression, and there's tons of statistics that prove that the pills that they're giving you are equal, if not less than people who take sugar pills, the effect that the pills have.
Wow.
Yeah. Like the percentage of people that go into therapy for depression that after the therapy or they're still dealing with it, still go into therapy for depression that are still in therapy for depression or versus getting out of therapy that are still dealing with depression is like enormously high. And he's like, well, you guys are not doing it right. And then he talks about how people go to the pills for even like, I don't know if I said this already, but ADHD or depression or like different things or like even weight loss and stuff like that. Like these pills are not set up for you to help. And there's even more and more
Wow.
people talking about like for general medicine, at which I forgot. Sorry, I won't use terms that I don't remember the definition for. But there's Dana White. He was saying he's like, if I break my arm, I need surgery or something. He's like, I'm going to a doctor. But if I, he's like, I had sleep apnea. I had like super achy like muscles and bones. If I had like horrible stomach problems, like things like that. He goes, I'm no longer going to the doctors. By the way, disclaimer, I'm not a professional in what I'm saying. Um, he's like, I'm no longer going to it, the doctors.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to like these holistic health places with people that actually know stuff. Like he loves Gary Brecker, and he's Brecka, I believe. He's the guy that talks about getting like sunlight in your eyes, and he talks about like the having the centering of yourself on the earth. He does the cold bath. He does the red light therapy. He does talking about working out. Talks about fasting. Talks about getting rid of like sugars, not carbs. Like, of course, you don't have a lot of carbs because there's a lot of sugars in carbs, but there's simple and complex sugars, but it's simple and complex carbohydrates. But he's like, you take out certain things and you eat whole food and stuff, like you would shape your mind.
Wow.
There's so many, and I'm sorry to keep on
No,
talking
you're
and do a
good.
rant,
You're
but
very,
there's so
very
many like
interesting.
diseases and illnesses that people have they can simply cure
Mm,
with their diet and what they're eating.
wow.
And it goes back to the shots and the controversy that we're seeing it right now, make America healthy again with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I believe that's who it is. Um, he's like, let's go back. Let's go Whole Foods. I have a hat that says "Farming feeds the world," which is pretty
That's
cool.
a cool
Yeah,
hat. Did you
right.
just get it?
Yeah, I just
Oh,
get it when I
wow.
went when Ohio. Um, so like, get back to Whole Foods, get back to us, get back to like providing health. Like the whole thing with I'm not going to say the word because I guess YouTube like flags it, but the epidemic that was in 2020,
They flagged that? Oh,
that the C word.
yeah.
Okay, so that our the advice that our government gave. I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was going to turn this kind of podcast. But the advice the government gave was to stay indoors, take this the
So,
thing, the
yeah.
shot, um take pills, so all that stuff. You think that's the best way to overcome a sickness and
Mm,
something that can be potentially deadly?
right.
It depends what side you're on for that. No, you have to strengthen your immune system. So if you're taking anything, it should be like vitamins. It should be going outside. And if you're like actually sick from it, like everything I'm saying, like there are extremes. But I'm just talking about like the general.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people is just like a flu. Now there are extremes where people passed. And there are extremes that are like didn't affect anyone at all. But just in general, there's better ways to take care of our body. And it was proven by the guy who was running all of the protocols and procedures to combat this, he was corrupt. Like, it was proven.
Yeah.
And now it just makes you look back at our government like, are they really wanting us to be healthy? Or are they really wanting the best for us? Like, you hear about Red 40? There's no other country in the world. Sorry. I don't know any other country in the world that allows that. I don't want to say things with certainty.
Yeah.
Because I
Look,
don't know.
you did travel around the world.
I did. And I went there and we had, like, for example, Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
They're called something different there. But they don't have any Red 40 in them.
But they still
They taste
red?
good.
Were they still red?
They're a reddish color.
Oh, really?
Like, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I was eating them. But, like, they're what, like, Flaming Hot Cheetos is. There's no Red 40 in them.
Yeah.
And it tasted good.
Yeah.
But those are already so much healthier than what we have here. And so it's like our FDA, it's like, hey, knocking at the door. The things that you're allowing, there's other countries that don't allow. Why is that? And how come we're one of the leading places in the entire world for, like, sickness, disease, illness, obesity? When we're versing obesity is, let me take out that one. Sickness and obesity is very true. Sickness and illness and disease. When we are a first world country,
Yeah.
there are third world countries that are lower on the list of sickness, ill, and disease compared to us. I wish I knew the number we are, but we're like in the top. I'm going to say 20 to be generous. I think we're higher up.
Wow.
And there's third world countries that are lower on that scale, and we're
Wow.
leading that. Sorry, I didn't even
No,
turn into all this.
That's so fascinating. I remember in psychology, with the sugar pills, you're talking about placebos, right?
So yeah, placebo.
Yeah.
There's more power in placebo,
Yeah.
which I think you're about to
Which
talk about.
like placebo is just basically the fake pill, right?
Yeah, you give them a sugar pill. So
Which
that means there's just sugar in the
it's
pill.
just insane to me because in psychology they did like the whole. You know what? I've never told anyone this. I failed psychology twice. I failed psychology
I don't know
once.
if this is the topic we should be talking about.
Well, okay, no. But I was there to like do knowledge. The problem I struggled with psychology is I couldn't memorize terms and people. So that's why I'm about to say the next
Those
thing.
are big things, yeah.
Those are
No. I'm saying like those are like why do
yeah.
I need to know the person of it? Like Maslow
Yeah.
or like
Sigmund Freud and stuff like that. Right, Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I failed it.
That's right.
I think I did fail it twice. To the point where, do you know her name, the teacher?
Yes, I believe so.
She literally goes in our class. She goes, and this is I've never admitted this or said this ever. I even to Jayla.
Yeah.
So, and she probably still won't know. But she goes, psychology is so much fun, and she's talking about how great it is, and she goes, and there's like, there's one student here that is just here just because it's fun. and she literally went on, she goes, and they're not doing so good, but they enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
I, no joke, went around asking people, hey, how are you doing in this class? I'll be, oh, okay. Like, no joke, I think I asked everyone that I thought would maybe not be like where I'm at. I found out I was the failing one. Wow. And she's like, and someone's just in here just to be here because they like it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. That's me. Immediately I knew it was me. And my back was turned to her because I was like looking at something. Yeah. Anyways, I wish I locked into psychology a little bit harder with like the terms and the people because I do think that's very important. But I loved that class so much because it talked about the power of thinking, the power of the brain, all the things that goes on. How people work. Like knowing that sociology is really cool. Yeah, so I did pass that one. Yeah, I did. I've taken that class 3 times. Once in high school and twice in college. Yeah. Because the other one, won't even get into that. Anyways, it counted as elective because I didn't get above a C. No, I didn't get a B.
Oh, it was an AP. Yeah. It was AP.
Yeah, so I couldn't get to that. Yeah. So I didn't. So it's just So it counted as anyways. I'm not that smart. Anyways, but what I liked about it was when it talked about like the pills, like the placebo, and how they like split it off, and they saw like what could happen. First of all, it scared me because I'm pretty sure Advil is as a placebo, but I've been telling myself that it's not so much just because it helps. I think. But it's like the fact of knowing that you're taking this and everything that they're saying, oh, do you have a headache? Well, here you go, that'll cure it. And then the confidence, the thing on the label, oh, if you're sore, if you're this, if you're this, if you're this, don't worry, take this and you'll be perfectly fine. And it got to the point where I was very curious, and I was asking my mom about it. And I was like, "So why do you give me like Advil? Oh, for everything, like literally everything, Brian. If I'm sore, if I'm have a cut on myself that hurts, if I have this, Advil apparently is like takes all it's all-purpose illnesses,
Yeah.
all-purpose like soreness. And Evan and I would be like super sore after soccer, or super sore after running or whatever, and we would take placebo or not we would take Advil and legitimately feel 100%. Like it was like what in the world?
Yeah.
So going on with like the power of the mind, what truly you can accomplish. And I remember one time in the class they were talking about. She was talking about, is it Mrs. B? Is she started with a no? It's Mrs. G. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mrs. G. She was talking about how people can actually you can think yourself to be sick. Like you can make yourself sick. Your body can be sick, or it cannot. It can like not be sick.
Yeah.
Um.
That's like a big reason why I do that. That's
Oh,
why I was putting on myself.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought you just do that because you don't want to admit that you're sick.
I also never get sick.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay. But
there is that part. There is an ego thing too.
but you
Yes.
can no, I was saying but like you could like really like think yourself to have a fever to become sick. I remember when I was a kid, I would always have headaches, but like never, but I like chose to have them. It felt it was so weird. I would be like, "Oh, mom, I have a headache," and I didn't want to go to school. I was horrible as a school student. You know how you enjoyed it? I did not. I was the exact opposite. I would try to figure out ways I could go to school, um, and so I would like literally have headaches. And the thing is they were like real, like they were real headaches, but it would be only the times where I didn't want to go to school.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was weird. And so I like that you're talking about, or you brought up the topic about the power of your mind, because I think we have more control over our thoughts, over us than we truly think. Even our bodies and stuff like that. Like if you can really think, like you have way more power in your mind than I think even that you could even that we even know. Like I like that I was reading this book and it was talking about your thoughts, and it was talking about sin more. It was like talking the reasons for sin, and they were saying that it's there's like a stronghold that's built, right? Like the devil cannot force you to think things, right? But he can put things in your vision to make you think because he knows how powerful your mind is. So like if you're battling with pride, okay, I'm gonna put someone who's maybe better looking than you that does the same thing. Like for example, if I play acoustic guitar and I'm jamming and I'm having so much fun, but I struggle with pride. Maybe a way to that someone would get to me is a better looking guy takes the guitar and like shreds it even harder and goes crazy and everyone's wow wow wow. It's like right there is just like that's that seeing that image tells your brain, oh my gosh, I'm not that good. Oh, these people think they're much better. That guy's everything. You know what I'm saying? Just like so, like little glimpses. So he's talking about how initially it becomes a stronghold, right? And you can rebuke it and that thought will go away, but that stronghold is still there because it's in the back of your mind. And he said that true repentance is what breaks that stronghold. So I think that's so powerful because in your mind you think millions of thoughts. I'm also not professional, okay? But you think all these thoughts, right? And it and you get to choose what you set your mind to. Is it okay, I want to accomplish goals, or is it I want to get by easy? Is it okay, I'm really feeling sad right now. Am I thinking about more sad thoughts? Am I listening to sad music? Am I really just dwelling in that? Or am I like, you know what? let me think about like when we talked about gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
let me think about good things that are good to me. And then he's saying that like that completely shifts everything. And then there's a verse in the Bible which, man, I wish I memorized it. But it's talking about how set your mind on holy things, because that's what God wants us to do, is think about holy things. And it's not like, anyways, I can get deeper into that, but it's just cool because when you set your mind on holy things, set your mind on God's kingdom, on all of the thoughts of like pride, lust, lying, all that stuff goes away, because it's so filled with thinking about God and thinking about just great things, thinking about your gratitude of the friends around you, your family around you. If you fill this tank in with a bunch of love, you couldn't even fit in all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I just think that's crazy with like the power of the mind, because you can control a lot more than people are like, oh, I can't do that. I just can't.
Yeah. Tony Robbins is always talking about. He's like, they say we experience life. He goes, that's wrong.
Mm,
You experience the life you focus on. So a simple question is like, are you a person that thinks about stuff you don't have, or think about stuff you do have? Usually people, if they're willing to admit it, they think about what they're lacking, what they're
yeah,
missing, rather than what they have. And he's like, what you choose to focus on is the life that you choose to live. You
yeah,
can choose to have things be plentiful, um, reviving,
yeah,
um, beneficial for you, or you can choose the things that are like difficult, hard, stressful. Like, I mean, just you were talking earlier about like the fact of like the whole thing of moving from like moving out and moving into a place, and it's like apartment or house. It's like, you know, house has these things, apartment has these things, and like you can choose to be like, all right, I'm choosing apartment, but like, is this good? Is this bad? But you can choose to
mm,
shake your focus and be like, do you know this opportunity to save, this opportunity to like do this with that and that with that. But
yeah,
everything has pros and cons.
yeah,
I think there's sometimes obvious things that are just the good things,
right,
the right things, but like even the right things have cons. Like even like this awesome, spectacular thing, you can get a brand new car and you can still have something to complain about it. And
right,
that's the easy thing. I actually heard a while ago back that people, one of the number one things they connect on, sorry, I'm not speaking with certainty.
no, I
One
know
of
what
the
you're talking
best
about.
things that one of the things that people connect on the most and start talking about is starting from a complaint. You don't know
Yeah,
someone, you're in line at thing or something like that. It's cold outside. Man, it's really cold outside. Or man, this line takes forever. Like it
yeah,
all can start with that. And that's the thing that people have commonality on, because it's so easy to go to. It's so much harder for some people, it's harder to find the positivity, the good things in life, but that's where it comes to the power of perspective,
yeah.
and your mind and your thoughts. But it's like that's one of the things that a lot of people connect over is like just complaining.
It's easy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
very
so
easy.
easy.
It's so easy to like think poorly about something or even someone. Like
Yeah,
like I find myself like if I'm interacting with people or someone, and I think like, oh, like, you know, like I almost get convicted if like it's out of no harm, but like if I like I had a bad experience with someone, and it's not gonna hurt someone if I like tell you, like I said I experienced something on the dry, like at the store,
yeah,
and it's like something funny, embarrassing happened to this random stranger. It's like I want to tell you, but sometimes I feel convicted, like, I don't really need to
yeah,
say something like that because it's not like it's funny, it's making fun of, or it's like complaining about something, and it's just like
yeah.
you don't need to bring that into it.
I think it's also easy to be in that mindset because everyone has it. You know what I'm saying? Everyone can complain about something. Like you when you're talking about the weather, right? Everyone can complain about it because it's just there. But I think it's hard to not it's not even hard. I just think people choose not to. Like for example, oh, it's a very nice day outside. It's everyone has different perspectives, but I think everyone has that glimmer of complaining, like you're saying. And I think that people like certain people choose to have gratitude, and you can tell in their life if they're happy. uh, I talk about Derek a lot on this, but one thing that is funny is he's now surrounded. He's surrounded by two optimistic people. So Alex is is very optimistic, and he's very like goofy. He's very funny. He like is always smiling. He's having a good time. I am also goofy. I like to have a good time and stuff like that. And slowly, he's not going to admit this, but slowly, what I've noticed is he's been smiling more. He's been really like happy, and he would like joke around with people about being so happy. Like if I'm being really happy, he'd be like, "Oh, what's up, Mister Happy Pants?" And like he's a goofball. But I've started to notice that he's smiling much more.
Yeah.
He's just more giggly. Like Thursday, I don't know what was in him, but the happy juice in him was like a million. And he wasn't even like having like what happened to him or like what was going on in a job. He shouldn't have been like that in patterns and stuff like that. But he was just like so goofy. He was looking at old photos of us like at our when we first started working, and he was like giggling. He was like showing everyone. I was like, bro, this is weird. But I think that if you surround yourself, kind of like what we talked about yesterday, what we talked about last week, surrounding yourself around people with a good mindset can help change yours. Because right now it was Mr. Happy Pants and Mr. like depressed pants or
Yeah.
whatever, sad pants or whatever it was. But now it's like two happy pantses, and now he's slowly starting to become. It's actually really cool,
Yeah.
and he's just like he's more happy,
Yeah.
which makes me happy.
Yeah. It's very cool. I like a story that can go off of that. I find myself to be, as I would like to try to be a positive person.
Yeah.
I hope, I think I am. I
Right,
bring the
you are.
energy. Um, but going back to the friends you surround yourself, and even though if I'm like a dominant personality, or like I don't
You're alpha.
go into, not the, yeah, or what is it? Uh what we talk with Allison Dupka. Check out her podcast, her episode.
Apex.
Apex.
Yeah.
Even though I'm Apex, um, Jayla actually hasn't seen that episode yet. We talked to her about it. Even though I'm Apex, and that's a joke, I can still be influenced and affected by people. There's a
Right.
person that was close to me in my life, and for a time being, they were always very negative. Like there's always a problem happening in their home, with their family, at work, like every time. And every time I would talk to them, I would come in and they would say something. I'm like, and I felt like I was just being chiseled away at. And
Mm,
so I started getting to a point where I'm like I like hanging out with you and being around you, but I really don't like want to talk to you. Like let's
yeah.
do activities and stuff. They do not want to talk to you. And I addressed it with them, and they realized and they fixed it, and it's no longer a problem. But it was a thing for a long time, even though I'm apex or dominant of like
Yeah.
how I am strong with my beliefs and feelings, and I will not waver, and like I will not succumb to peer pressure or do something that I won't do that doesn't follow my convictions,
Yeah.
or what I believe. I will never succumb to that. But like even like that over time can just be like a toil.
Right.
In fact, and that also, it's randomly, that word toil. I was reading through Ecclesiastes,
Okay.
and that book is basically, I believe it's about like Solomon, um, who has all the wisdom, all the
Yeah.
money, all the stuff, like one of the greatest of kings, that has everything. He was like living all these different kinds of life, and he was like, writing it down to show that like at the end of the day, you do your work,
Yeah.
and everything you're chasing after is just vanity. It's just air.
Mm,
You're just grasping air. So like the
mm,
only thing that you really have is to be good unto others and follow God, and
yeah.
like to do your work, to go do your toil, and to serve God. And like there's nothing more outside of that.
Yeah.
And it kind of like gives you like a little fresh breath of fresh air, because you're like, oh, I don't need to be a millionaire. I don't need to
Right.
do this. I don't need to have all the girls. I don't need to have all these sports cars. I don't need to have like a thriving business, but it's just to be like, be present,
Mm,
have good people that you love around, um along with that, like just serve God.
Yeah.
and be good. And then another thing I was thinking about, sorry,
No,
it's a
you're
little
good.
therapy session. And I'm getting much better at this. I am not perfect. I'm not a perfect human being. And if for whatever reason you thought that, you might be Apex. I don't know. But I'm like at an age where I'm like kind of done with like the weird drama stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want to deal with and like all my friends I love. Like I got a pretty big tiff with one of my friends recently. He's not gonna watch this. But like there's like physical pushing, which is crazy. I was like, we're too old for like pushing, and I said, keep that same energy. See what happens later. Like, what was I gonna fight up my friend? No, I'm not. I don't do that. It was random, like a random strike of me being tired, him being hungry, and
Yeah.
like it just like the flame grew. But like 20 minutes happened, and I saw him again. I'm like, hey, dude, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, man. I love you, bro. You know, just don't push me next time. He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I'm like, hey, and I won't say anything because that was your conversation, but we good? He's like, yeah, we're good. I'm like, sweet. And it was good. It was over that.
Yeah.
And that was crazy. I just couldn't believe that something like that hasn't happened forever. But I was just like, yeah, I'm like at the age where I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I want to take care of Kenzie. If me and Kenzie have like problems, like not like horrible problems, so like marriage drama or something like that, that should be the only
Yeah.
drama in life. At work, I should not be dealing with other people's like emotions. I shouldn't be dealing with
Mhm.
that. Or at least I'll be here and like friends, I'll be there to help them.
Yeah.
But there's no like I'm at the age and like think I have more important things in my life, more important goals that I should be
Yeah.
dealing with like this like weird like pettiness. And I'm
Right.
not perfect. I find myself in like random little ones here and there with random people. It's like, nah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's gotta be done with.
It's definitely a choice too, in
Yes.
being in that thing. Because I remember I was like, I want to be in it. I want to. I'm also. I don't. I'm not a fighter, but I kind of like.
Like to instigate.
I think I like to
Or maybe you
instigate.
just like was that you like
Antagonize?
no, like imagine as a fireplace. You're a firekeeper. Like you kinda like put your stick in, like,
Well,
move
I don't
things
like
around.
stir.
You don't start. You're not. Yeah, no, you're not controlling it. But
No.
you're like maybe you're just by the fire being warm.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
So
like you're
yeah,
you have your
yeah,
s'more. You have your
yeah.
s'more.
I'm like the
And you're kind of in it,
guy.
like cooking,
I'm like watching.
like eating a little bit in
I'm
it.
like in the theater, right? I'm not in the drama,
Like you're
but
eating popcorn.
I'm like eating popcorn, and I'm
Yes.
like it's
And
also
sometimes you throw a popcorn.
yeah. Sometimes I might
Yeah.
go like, okay, this is kind of boring. Let me just see.
Yeah. Maybe you just add another
um,
log.
let me just see how big this fire can get. I know that this would help
Yeah.
gasoline. But I'm not like a fighter or wanna be. I never claimed that.
Hmm.
Bryce Hall. Um, but like but like there's times where I remember when I was younger, I was just like wanted to be there. I just wanted to like see. And like there would be like drama between this person and this person. Oh, this person likes this person, but this person. And I just wanted to know. I wasn't in it, but I just like wanted to like understand why and like whose side is actually right. I
Yeah.
think that's what my thing was. I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I wanted to like be factual
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But what I realized is I would get too close. Like I would tempt it too much. Like where I was at was
And then
like,
you would start getting brought into it.
yeah. And then I remember I had a meeting with Mr. Pastor, and he was like, "Hey, listen." He gave me a good proverb recently, but it wasn't for that situation. But it was like you don't grab a, a dog's ears. There's a proverb about that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Solomon wrote. Just basically don't get in it. Like if it's not your decision or whatever, it's not your choice. Don't
Yeah.
do something that you shouldn't do. Anyways, but before that, he said he told me he was like, hey, I you don't want your name to ever be brought up in like people are saying a situation. You don't want your name to be in that. You don't want to be like, yeah, these people they're like going at it, and like this person also, but
And
oh,
Caden.
Caden, oh, you don't want that. You don't want that. And I realized I was tempting it too much. I was tempting it too much, and I didn't have that much control to like there. So I found myself in ignorance is bliss,
Yeah.
which I think you told me, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna live that out.
That's a great place to
Yeah,
be.
it's great because like no one,
Never have to offend anyone
your
because you don't know what's going on.
your mind is perfect.
Just
Like
doing your
you're
thing.
just like, oh
You don't have to walk on eggshells. You just walk around,
yeah,
say whatever you want, do whatever you want.
yeah. It's just like that mindset is just so nice.
You don't have to walk into a room and like see someone and have to like
Yeah.
change how you
Oh
act. I was just having a conversation with someone and they're like, yeah, I was talking to this person, I heard this thing and I think I want to like ask about it. I'm like, yeah. But like ignorance is bliss. Like
yeah,
you not knowing that thing that could relate to this the person that was talking about related to them.
yeah,
But like sometimes it's good just not to know. Like I even find myself, talking about the John thing. I recently like was in that situation where I walk into a room and I think about what I was saying, think about how I
mm,
interact with people,
yeah,
and now I think I'm a spot. I'm good. In fact, I know I'm at. And now when I walk into these rooms, I don't have these
yeah,
second thoughts. And it's like it's so much better because I
yeah,
used to be the same person. I was like, I almost felt like I needed to help people make
yeah.
decisions, the right decisions.
Right, and I genuinely think that's biblical. I remember reading somewhere where it was talking about, oh, about like the wheat, right? You don't pull out the wheat or like the weeds, right? They came and they're like, oh, we need to take out these weeds. Weeds are gone. It's like, no, 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 don't take them out because if you take out the weeds, wheat might also come in, which is the good stuff. And there's also, I think in Samuel where it was talking about, um, no, it's in Proverbs, just talking about don't get involved. Like, you're not the person to make the decision. Oh my gosh, it's right there. It's like right there. The story is right there. Anyways, there's a situation. Oh yes, okay. It was David and Joab, and Joab is David's command, right? So Joab is the warrior, and he has two brothers. One apparently, every time I see his name, it's like Al Ash, and Anyways, the thing I remember about him is he's really fast. He runs like a gazelle. That's what the Bible says. Other person, him and Joab are brothers. They're all brothers. They're all brothers. Him and I keep forgetting what his brother's name is. But anyways, so comes to this place where they're fighting, and this guy Abner,
Okay.
which is Saul. So it's David, Saul. Saul wants to kill David. Abner is with Saul. Then it's Joab and his three brothers on David's side. David's awesome, by the way. I love him even more now. And I just read about his sin chapter. And I'm like, I love you even more because it showed his heart and his repentance. Anyways, and he just gave birth to Solomon. Anyways, so exciting. I wonder what Solomon's gonna do. But so they're three brothers. Anyways, they're in a fight, and Abner is like fighting David. They get to this place where they're like fighting. Then Joab and Abner are like whatever. They're a tiff. Then the gazelle guy chases after Abner, and Abner's like, dude, you don't want this smoke. Basically, tell him you don't want the smoke. And the guy's still running. He's like, no, I want to fight you. I want to fight you. And Abner's like, you do not want the smoke. Anyways, he's still sprinting out. Abner goes, all right, fine, we can do this. He takes the butt end of his sword and goes through him. So like he knew what he could have done. He could have just like went over, sliced him. Instead, he showed how powerful he was. Butt end of the sword went through him. Okay, killed him. Now Joab's upset. Now he's like, we're fighting. So
Yeah.
they fight, whatever. Okay, then Joab's like, "You lucky that this is happening because I would have chased you. I would have found you. I would have done this stuff." Abner's like, "Let's just chill out for a second," and then so they leave. Okay, they separate. Then Saul dies. Joab comes, or Saul dies. Abner goes, no, Saul doesn't die yet. Saul dies. He does die. His son takes reign. Okay, Saul dies, takes reign. Then Saul's son accuses Abner of having um um doing stuff
Relations.
relation had relations with some other person in Saul's kingdom. Okay. Then he's like, really? Abner's like, really? That's what you're gonna say? I did all this stuff. Okay, now I'm upset. Now I'm gonna go to David, tell David I want him to be king. So now I set you up, built the table. Okay? We know Abner, we know Joab and his
Yeah.
brother. They're hating Joab, or they're hating Abner. David invites him to a party. He goes, hey, I want you to be king. Abner's saying, I want you to be king, and I want to help you get there. David's like, all right, sweet, let's do this. This is like what God has called us to do, whatever. So, all right, sweet. So Abner goes, and as Abner leaves, Joab and his brothers come from a raid, and they go find out that Abner was there, and they go, oh heck no, bring him back. So he lies. He tells the messenger, he goes, say that David wants him back. So the messenger runs. I don't know how fast this messenger is, but apparently he caught up to him. Okay, catches up to Abner. Abner comes back. Joab goes, come over here. Boom. They kill him. Okay, they killed Abner. Abner dies. David's like, what in the world? And so in this moment, right, I was like, oh my gosh, David has now the situation where this person legitimately was working with him, kills him because he was about to be king of Israel, about to kill him, but no, all this stuff. Now Abner dies because Joab has all this like rage and stuff. I'm in my mind, I'm like, okay, David's about to do his thing. He's a warrior. He destroys. He kills people. Whatever. He kills bad people. He's gonna do something crazy here. But what stuck out to me is what he did was he was like, God, I cannot control them. I can't do it. They are too strong in that sense. So it's you. It's gonna be by you. And he leaves them. And in my head, I was like, dude, what? What were we talking? Drama. In my head, I was like, dude, what? That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, how could this guy, David, who has God on his side, he could have easily just killed him, killed both of them. But he's like, okay, I'm gonna leave him there. But God, I cannot deal with him. It has to be by you. And so, literally, in the story now, up until Joab is still commander of the army, and he's still making a bunch of victories and stuff like that. And David has no problems with Joab. So it's almost like in those drama situations or in those mindsets, like and taking it spiritually, like seriously, you can't control people, no matter if you try. And I was in that spot where obviously, because I was like, David, you have your opportunity. Let's get these people out because they're bad people. But David's like, no, 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 no. It has to be by God. Like God gives justice. I don't. And so that made me think about like if we see the right and wrong and we're like, oh, we gotta fight against the wrong. Like sometimes God's like, chill out. Let me take care of it. And we don't want that. We want to like completely take that thorn out of our side. We want to completely get rid of the bad people in our life and stuff like that. But God's like, no, 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 no. Let me teach something. Let me do something here. But we don't know and we don't see it. So taking that to psychology, taking that to like wrapping it and on making it into like a beautiful bow or a present with a bow on top, it's crazy because your mind is so strong. Your mind wants things immediately as well. If you're hungry, you want food right now. If you're thirsty, you need water right now. If you see something, your flesh is so strong as well. So literally, your mind, you are battling with your mind, and you're battling with your flesh constantly, right? They both want to take control, but your mind is stronger than it thinks. So when you get tired, don't give up. Keep going. If you feel like the whole world is crashing down, it's really not. You just need to change up your perspective, unless it really is. Okay, if it really is, pray and talk to your pastor. Okay, but you should pray no matter what. Actually, pray no matter what, and talk to your pastor no matter what. But I think you guys get my drift. But like in the drama thing as well, you don't have to put yourself in that situation where you can get hurt or where you can get burned as well. Pray for the situation. I've learned to pray for both sides. God, I don't know why this person's reacting this way, but please have your hand on it and earnestly praying for it. You gotta have give that other person strength that maybe isn't the right in my mind. Give them strength or whatever, like touch them. And what I found is I got peace about the situation and I don't have any feelings towards it. So now I can just walk into a room and be like, all right, everyone is loved. So your mind is like a circle. Is that your car? Can you guys hear that?
I don't think it's mine. I don't want it to be mine.
I don't think it's
What were you
mine.
saying?
I was just basically saying that God is good all the time. And if you're battling with something, if it's mental, if it's whatever, like truly give it to God. Because even if we think that it's right, even if
Yeah.
we're the kings of our world and we think that whatever, even if it thinks it's right, like God has a plan for it, and He has a plan in everything. Like what God is teaching me right now is He has a plan in weakness, and I'm like, dude, take away the weakness, but He's showing me such a different light than I could even imagine, and I got a taste of freedom, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of power in our mind, but you know, God is the creator
Yeah.
of us and of our mind. So how much power is more in Him, and
Yeah.
like giving that to Him. That's what it sounds like you were kind of saying, like staying out of it, but also like giving your worries, giving your problems unto God, because He can take it, make you feel a certain way, and then pray for those situations.
Yeah.
That's
Don't try
good.
to don't let your flesh take over, but seriously let God. Like I love the song, "When I fight, I'll fight on my knees."
Yeah.
He's not saying I'm gonna
To try to hit
fight
like
like
lower
not hit
angles, to try to
lower.
hit low or something like that.
No, but like he's like I'll like I love the song that talks about wearing out the floor
Yeah.
with your knees. Like that's just such a beautiful picture. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful because that's truly you saying, God, I can't fight it.
Yeah.
It has to be you,
Yeah.
and that should be all the fights that we have in the world.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. I think that was a good pod.
yeah, great pod. We have to end it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was BC Procast episode 62. Hopefully you stuck around. Hopefully my rant
And
and
my rant.
controversies didn't throw you guys off, but hopefully you guys really enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow along. Make sure you also pray and read your Bible today and every day after that.
It's a really cool book.
It's a great. That's where he was telling his story from. It's a great way to connect with your creator God and build a relationship with him. We definitely fueled your curiosity.
And the Bible has literally every story in there. Like literally every genre you can think of, it's
Oh
in there.
yes.
Like
Yeah.
think about that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was really cool. Yeah, it is the greatest book. Even scholars that are like essentially atheists, they give its credit to the literature and the art form of the words and the poeticness to it, and then also the storyline of it. Obviously, if they're
Yeah.
atheists.
And you have 66 chapters, and not one of the verses contradict itself. Not one. Isn't that crazy? Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, and like Psalms, that book. You mean 66 books?
Yeah, sorry.
Psalms alone has 150
Yeah,
chapters.
yeah.
Right.
It's just crazy. Is it
Yeah.
149 or 150?
I think it's 150.
Dang.
Let everything have breath, praise the Lord. I think
Is it
that's what that one.
150?
Yeah, I think that's
Way
it.
to end it, David.
We just feel your curiosity. Comment down below
Your favorite chapter in the book,
in the Bible. Yes.
and what medication you are gonna stop using. No, I'm just joking. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Come on, Braden. Say something, bro.
Well, thank you for watching.
Peace.
Peace.